GMs for Hire.
Welcome back to GMs for Hire. I am Matthew Perry, and with me today is former MLB All-Star and reliever Grant Balfour. Grant, how you doing?
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm great. I figured we'd talk about your career. It was a quite good one, especially for an Australian. You're arguably the greatest Australian Major League Baseball player of all time, which is very impressive, of course. And I definitely want to get into how someone from Australia makes their way here, and we'll get to that later. But I guess we will start with that actually. You're signed by the Twins to start your Major League career as a free agent. What kind of walk me through the signing process with Minnesota? Did scouts come all the way to Australia? Did you come, throw in the United States to get noticed? Kind of walk me through that.
Yeah, so I guess I was actually always a catcher, and someone mentioned to me, hey, if you want to try to get over to the States and get to the play professional baseball and get into the big leagues, you might be on a faster track if you were trying pitching. And I was always, pretty decent throwing runners out as a catcher. So they're like, hey, you got a pretty good arm. Jump on the mound and, we'll see what you got. So I pitched for a year, and I made the state team back in Australia, which is New South Wales, and went on and pitched in, like the Australian team and local club ball there. And we have a lot of scouts down in Australia. It's fairly highly scouted, I guess. It wasn't so much. It probably even more so now than what it was then, but it was still enough guys down there to where, I got some notice. And a guy by the name of Howie Norsetter, who does like Canada, Australia, that sort of Asia area, he offered me a contract. And then from there, there was a few guys kind of jumped on board and, wanted to sign me. The Cubs in Toronto and, at the time, Montreal Expos and a handful of other teams that were trying to sign me. So I ended up going with Minnesota Twins. I knew a guy that was with them, which, helped a little bit too, coming over here as a 19-year-old on the other side of the world and not knowing what to expect. So,
yeah. Do you ever, obviously you were very successful as a pitcher. Do you ever wish you had a Major League career as a catcher?
Yeah, I mean, that would have been cool too, but I just definitely didn't have the bat to carry to do that. Yeah. I could see myself catching in the big leagues, I think, or at least in the minor leagues. I could have maybe caught. As far as the hitting goes, I think I would have lacked. So that would have struggled there, I think.
Hey, the majors need more catchers these days. So if you ever want to plan a comeback as a catcher, if your knees can still do it, I'm all for looking at that. But your Twins career was short-lived, a year or two, and then you wound up, becoming a free agent. You were signed by the Reds and then put on waivers. So you never played for the Reds. You got picked up by the Brewers, where you played there, and then you were traded to the Devil Rays at the time for Seth McClung. What was the trading process like? How did you find out? Because I know it's different for everybody. I know these days people find out through Twitter and they get text messages. Back then, what was that like for you?
Yeah. So the day I was traded from Milwaukee, I remember I was out in that was the only actual time I'd been traded in my career. I was out in St. Louis. I remember going out there running a few poles. It was about 120 degrees. It was so hot in the middle of the summer, sometime in July. And then someone came out and said, hey, the manager wants you in the office. So I was like, what's happening here? You're not going up because you're in the big league. So you're either going down or something's happening.
Yeah.
They said, hey, we've traded you over to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at the time. So packed the bags, went back to the hotel, and off you go. Then that's the life of baseball. They send the rest of your stuff down that was in the hotel back in Milwaukee, and started a career down here in Florida.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a good career in Florida, obviously. We'll move to 2008, where you and the Rays made the World Series. Of course, unfortunately, you guys fell to the Philadelphia Phillies, but you were able to pitch in the World Series, which not many pitchers can say they've done. What was that experience like? Because I mean, that's got to be kind of surreal, the biggest stage of them all.
Yeah, no, I mean, it worked out to be a great trade for me. Going to a team that was about, I think, 33 games back in '07. I got traded with 33 games back. Mathematically, we had no shot, I don't think, of even getting to the playoffs,
Right.
and lost about 96 games or whatever it was in the end. But yeah, the next year we turned it around, and we won 97 games, I think it was. And
Yep.
yeah, ended up heading to the World Series and, getting a taste. I've had a taste of the playoffs with the Twins for a few years there. In '03, '04, I pitched in the playoffs with the Twins against the Yankees both times. And so I had a little bit of taste of the playoffs, and had never got past the division series. As you know, the Yankees just own the Twins when it comes to playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they've ever beaten them, actually, even to this day.
It's
And
been a
then, yeah, we ended up knocking off the Red Sox, and in a tight one in 7 games, and then on to Philly, where we got taken down, but a lot of fun, a lot of great experience for me to be able to be on the big stage and just playing a World Series is it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you faced some great talent and you held your own. I mean, you went 3 innings, so three different games for you in that World Series. You were definitely one of the more important relievers for the Rays, and you definitely held your own. So that's really, I mean, as good as it gets. Getting that opportunity, win or lose, it's still really really special. And you wind up leaving the Rays, going to the Oakland Athletics, where you kind of really hit your stride. You join Oakland as a 33-year-old. Relievers always have a different kind of prime. And for you, it seemed to be, 33 to 36. Talk to me a little bit about what was different in Oakland, because it really, really came together. You get your first All-Star appearance in 2013. You had 38 saves, which, you weren't really a closer until you went to Oakland. Do you think that move kind of helped you, or, what was different between Oakland and Tampa?
It's a different atmosphere there, but I definitely in Tampa had the high leverage situations in '08, 9, and 10, and honestly, I think I put up some really good numbers, and and you look back, and I think my best year is probably 2008 when you look at my numbers, but I wasn't an all-star, and I've seen guys that have done similar things in their careers where they've put up great numbers and they're not named to the all-star team, and it is what it is. But, sometimes that's just a little political thing. But, yeah, I go over to Oakland there. In 2011, I was sort of, late inning reliever, and then worked my way into the closer role there in 12 and 13, and got a chance to, close games there, which I'd always really wanted to do. I know back in Tampa, I'd had a few saves, handful of saves, but Joe Madden always said to me, he was like, I like you in the 7th, 8th inning, I can, sometimes it's, you got to close the game down then too. So, I mean, everybody had their thing that they wanted to, the way they wanted to use their relievers. And, but yeah, it's a great atmosphere, both places to pitch. It's hard to distinguish, which was better, 2 great teams and had a lot of success, but definitely the crowd got behind me there in Oakland. They started all this rage and all that stuff, some of the guys in the outfield. So definitely got me pumped up, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to actually mention that next. For those who don't know what Balfour rage is, could you kind of explain to them?
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't know what it was actually either until one of the guys in the outfield, out in right field, had started this, where he's, wearing these 2 big gloves, like looks like some cartoon character type thing, with a big gloves on, whatever. And he starts doing this and shaking the head. And I came out to Metallica, song 1 by Metallica. So it's played pretty loud and pretty rough. So they're all head banging. And, it was probably 20 or 30 of them. And then, 100, 300, and they all caught on. And then there was games on the weekends where, there's 30 odd thousand people there or more, and they're all doing it. So it was pretty loud and pretty intense. So a lot of fun to pitch behind.
That's got to be such a fun and unique experience, because not many baseball players, the fans can get behind a player, but when they have their own thing, like the headbanging and the rage itself, like it has a name to it. You know, it
Yeah.
just it's much different. And you know, that must have been really, really cool for you, just because, you know, that's something that I don't even know what to compare it to, because just like, you
Yeah.
know, only certain players get that kind of treatment. And
Yeah.
you
I
seem
mean,
to,
I,
yeah,
I look at it like, you know, when you sit there and watch Marion Rivera come into a game,
exactly.
you know, and the Sandman comes on, you just know what's going on, you know? So he obviously was a different kettle of fish, and that, you know, namely the greatest reliever of all time, probably. But yeah, to sort of have, yeah, something like that and call it your own was pretty cool.
Exactly. And you're right about 2008. That was your best, probably your best year. That 1.54 ERA is tough to beat. And you hit that in 08. But, you know, you did make the All-Star game in 2013, the year you had 38 saves.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the All-Star game, because that's obviously a unique experience. Not everyone gets to do that. And, you know, you fared pretty well. You went an inning. You didn't give up any runs. You even struck out Andrew McCutchen, who back in 2013, I think he was, you know, MVP caliber at that point. He might have won it in 2013, honestly.
Yeah, I think he might have even been the MVP. I don't really know. I know he was swinging a pretty good stick back those days. Yeah, he was. So yeah, I ended up being named to it. Actually, I flew from Oakland all the way over to New York. So
Yeah.
you know, cross country, get there, and to be honest with you, there's a lot going on. And it's a tight schedule, so it's you know, there's not really probably a whole lot of sleep in between and whatnot, but definitely a highlight of my career for sure. Being able to, you know, get named to the All-Star game and then just go and see what it's all about. And you know, I got to experience that with the kids and whatnot. And yeah, it was awesome. It was a great time. I mean, getting out there, and especially it was Marion Rivera's
Yeah.
last All-Star game, actually. So to get in there, and he did a little speech before the game for the whole team, sort of just said, "Hey, if you can get me the lead, that'd be awesome tonight," you know. So yeah, we're all definitely all doing our best and pulling for him, and to go out there and throw up a scoreless inning with a punch out. You know, I felt like I did my job, so that was good.
Oh yeah, 100%. You guys wound up giving him the lead, and Mo wound up getting his moment, and they won the game at the American League. So
Yeah, I think we
yeah,
ended up taking it. I think it was 3-0. I think we won that one. So
3-0. Yeah, that sounds
yeah,
right. And I mean,
that's actually when it mattered. I don't think they matter anymore if they win or not.
yeah,
So no home
AL
field
got
advantage.
home field for that. I kind of wish they still did that, just so. I mean, they do try, but it's nice to know
Yeah.
that there's something on the line. But yeah,
Yeah.
the All-Star game couldn't have gone much better for you. I mean, that's exactly what you want in that spot, especially, you know, treat it like it's your last. And it did unfortunately happen to be your only All-Star game, but you definitely seem to
Yep.
make the most of it. So that's great. You know, 3 years in Oakland, you know, 2.53 ERA, very impressive, almost 200 innings, a fan favorite, and definitely one of the best relievers of that period for Oakland. A great stint. You head back to Tampa though after that, where you wound up finishing your career. Did you have other offers, or did you know that you wanted to finish your career in Tampa no matter what?
No, I had other offers. Yeah, I actually you want to get into the deep of it. I actually had signed with Baltimore. You know,
Oh
it's
yeah.
all out. It's all out there. I had signed a 2-year deal with them actually. They kind of had failed me on the physical and ended
Oh
up going back into the free agency, and had a bunch of other teams that had jumped in there and ended up, yeah, going with the Rays, coming back home and going to familiar teams. So it worked out really good in the end.
yeah. I mean, at least you headed back to an environment you were familiar with and had success in. So
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
I think it was a nice place to finish your career. I definitely fondly remember your time in Tampa. I live in Tampa, so
Yeah.
I've seen you play at the Trop. I've been lucky enough to catch a few games and see you perform, and it's been fantastic. Before we head into our rapid fire questions, I want to talk a little bit about Australia.
Mhm.
You know, you are arguably the best Australian baseball player of all time, at least so far. There's a
Mm.
little trend though I've noticed, because some of the best major league players to come out of there are all relievers. Yourself, Liam Hendricks, Peter Moylan. Do you think there's any reasoning, or is it just a coincidence?
It just seems like, yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of pitchers. There's definitely a lot of pitchers. There's a handful of position players. We've had, Mark Shipley was one of the first guys to come over. He was sort of maybe before your time even. And David Nilsson, who was a catcher, he actually had a first All-Star bid. I was the second one to get the All-Star bid, I guess, as an Australian. And then now Liam's had a couple. So,
Yeah.
but definitely majority of pitchers. Just seems, obviously there's more pitchers than any other position anyway. So that the numbers are going to show that. But yeah, we've had some good relievers and we've had some good success, and hopefully it continues. So
Back in 2009 for the World Baseball Classic, the Rays, I believe, kind of asked you not to participate with Team Australia due to the fact that you just signed a new contract. Do you have any regret not playing nationally for Australia?
Yeah, I would have liked to have maybe put the green and gold on, when I think about it. But yeah, sometimes, they don't want you to go out there and play and whatnot. And so you sort of, you want to do the right thing and stand by, what they want. This is your career here. So, but yeah, it would have been nice maybe to throw the green and gold on again. I did do it in 2000 in the Olympics. I got to pitch in Sydney in my hometown in the Olympic Games, which, was awesome. So
Yeah,
to be an
that's great,
Olympian and have that was pretty cool.
Yeah, a hometown crowd is, like no other. So yeah, that must have been a great experience. I did really enjoy the World Baseball Classic. Of course, any opportunity you get, playing for a national team, you got to at least consider it. But yeah, the Rays your boss, they write your check, so you kind of got to
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll head to the rapid fire questions. Why not?
All right.
These are just, fun little questions to send us off. Who was your favorite player growing up?
Oh man, if I told you my favorite player growing up, it'd be a football player, and because I didn't even know about baseball growing up until I was about
really?
13 or 14. But once I started watching some games, I mean, you hear about like all the greats like Nolan Ryan and guys like this, But yeah, I watched a few Toronto Blue Jays games too. So I got to see, because they're affiliated with the Sydney team. I know I'm going on a little bit here, but, it was sort of like seeing like Joe Carter and, a few of these other guys that were playing, Devon White and all these guys that I'd seen playing Australia and whatnot. So, yeah.
Since you mentioned being a big football guy, what's your favorite football team?
Well, it's Australian football. It's not American football. It's West Tigers. And unfortunately, haven't done so well over the last decade. But anyway, it is the West Tigers.
Yeah, hopefully they pick it up. And I mean, I figure some Australians are going to wind up watching this, so they'll know. And
they'll know.
Any Americans, we got Google. We'll look it up. Did you have any?
Obviously, the Bucks down here in Tampa. So
yeah, and they've been fantastic. So that. Do you have any superstitions? Any pregame rituals, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I was always pretty much wanted to stick to my routine, all the time. It's the left sock goes on, the left shoe goes on first, all that stuff, or a chain around my neck that I always had to have on. If I didn't, for some reason, have it on, I had to run back in there, have one of the clubbies go get it to make sure I was pitching in it. So, yeah, there's a handful of things,
Can you remember any major league game where you didn't have that on?
There's a couple games when I went and I was like, damn. I left it off, and hit the shower or whatever and didn't put it back on, and had to have a clubby run back like in New York once or twice, and yeah, made sure it was on when I was out there. So
favorite stadium to play in, not including Oakland or Tampa Bay?
To play in, as far as playing wise, I mean, I love pitching in Kansas City. I enjoyed that stadium actually. I got the waterfalls out there. It was actually a stadium that had a lot of success in. So I guess that was one. Always enjoy, pitching in the bigger stadiums like New York. Boston was a big crowds. Chicago is always a great city. So there's a handful there.
Yeah. Last one before we go. This is actually kind of a question to see how well you know yourself. I have here the most strikeouts by player for your career. Can you tell me the man that you've struck out the most?
Guys, I've struck out the most?
Yeah. This guy struck out 7 times.
I'd say Nelson Cruz maybe.
Nailed it. 7 strikeouts, 1 for 13 career off you. That's 0.77 for the batting average. Very impressive stuff. Yeah, I was looking at the list. You've struck out like a lot of like quality guys, like Mark Teixeira, guys like that, like several times. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, those are the guys you typically face, and I'm sure that they've had their way with me a little bit too. So, but the only reason I knew that actually is because I'm doing a podcast at the moment with Rowland-Smith on the top. It's called The Top Step.
Yeah.
And he had actually brought it up the other day when we were doing it. So I kind of might have been cheating there, I guess. But it wasn't the same question, but I figured maybe he was the guy.
Yeah, you nailed it there. And everybody check out The Top Step, Grant Balfour and Rowland-Smith's podcast. I know that he's a fellow former Australian Major League Baseball pitcher. So I'm sure that's some good stuff. But Grant, thank you for your time. It's been
thanks.
It's been a lot of fun. But for myself and GMs for Hire, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.